righty. This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall on this abbreviated version of Sports for Real. And I noticed there's been a change in the way that they do things in the Super Bowl. When I was a kid, they used to do the Super Bowl 2 weeks after the conference championships. Then the week after, they would go to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl. They don't do that anymore. They moved the Pro Bowl from Hawaii to Orlando primarily because that stadium that they had the games in pretty much condemned. Even the University of Hawaii, that's where they play their home games. They don't use that place anymore. I think they got their own, a smaller version on campus now. I kind of got a glimpse of it in the Hawaii Bowl when they played California over there this year. But they don't even play there anymore. I don't know what they're going to use that grounds for, if they're going to rebuild a new stadium or what they're going to do. I think that will largely depend on any kind of relationship they can have with the NFL to possibly bring the Pro Bowl game back to Hawaii. That would be more of an allure for the players, but you wonder if the Pro Bowl game itself is dying. But when they brought it back to Orlando, the format changed to flag. And in the midst of all of that, they had all different kind of shakeups to the system where you take some of the stars and let them be coaches instead of just being the traditional AFC, NFC matchup. They all got all kind of formats. This year, Jerry Rice and Steve Young going at it. Never mind it. Both of them pretty much NFC guys. So they try and do all they can to keep that game alive, but I don't know how much longer it's going to survive. But anyway, the game was moved from a week after the Super Bowl up to a week before the Super Bowl. That's before they changed over the flag, and they changed the flag. And now the latest change is it's now going to be held during Super Bowl week. I talked about the Pro Bowl yesterday, not realizing that they hadn't played the game. I hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't care anything about it because I see that as a danger to the game itself. The way that they keep taking certain legal plays out of football and saying it's vicious now, and the players got to be mindful of where exactly they put a hit on the guy. I mean, it's going to take somebody breaking their neck before they finally ease up off trying to control how a guy gets hit. But if you keep taking contact out of the game, football is not going to exist. And now you introduce the popularity of flag football into it. It's just a matter of time before tackle football gives way to flag football full time. And I don't want to have nothing to do with that. So I don't even want to watch the Pro Bowl. But having said that, I thought the game was going to be played over the weekend. But no. They changed the schedule to where the game is actually going to take place today at 3:30. Well, I don't know who's going to watch. And normally Tuesdays before the Super Bowl is the media day. Well, they changed that too. They had media day last night. So I can't hardly keep up with what the NFL is doing. They had a good product, so why would you even fool with that? But that's what they're doing. They're tinkering. And they also introduced the addition of international games. They're going to be going to France, and they're talking about going to Australia. I don't know if the Australia game is linked. They also got a new contract with Mexico. So NFL spreading around the world. But I think they might have missed the boat on spreading the game and putting franchises in all these different places because football is not what it used to be. You're taking the contact out of the game. It's not the same game. So I think they missed the boat on that to expand when they were really popular. And even though it's popular with fans and it's a great game and all that, still, it's declining. And then you introduce flag into that makes it even worse. So that's just my thoughts on that. Say, Elmo, what's going on, man? I see you and JC hanging around. Appreciate it. Todd Monken speaks to Cleveland media today. I'd be interested to see what Monken does with the Browns. He came in right away trying to be different from what Stefanski was with this quarterback situation. He said something about that Baltimore was trying to get him. I don't think Baltimore was trying to get him. That's all con game because, remember, Sanders wasn't drafted until the 5th round. If Baltimore really wanted him, they would have got him long before then. So that's all, as the kids say, that's all cap. That's all BS is what that is. And I like to see what he's going to do. And then you got trade talks with the new coach coming into Baltimore. Hell, he might not even want Jackson, from what I understand. So they entertaining ideas about maybe shipping him. But if that's the case, it's a possibility that Jackson could possibly end up in Cleveland. Will it happen? Probably not. But this is the talk that's going on, and that's the beauty and the ugliness of this time of the year. Most of it is just talk. People are just speculating. They don't know what's going to happen, and I don't usually like to get into it unless it makes any kind of sense. And I don't see the Ravens dealing Jackson um, just because he got a new coach. I think that the way that Bashadi was talking, he wants Jackson in on the selection process so he can know what he's going to be getting into with the new coach. And if that's the case, then I really don't see why they would be talking about him being dealt. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right. Steelers got Signetti, brother, and the coach can pretty much do what he wants to do. And of course, they're going to come calling trying to get him to the league. But it's the same thing as college trying to come poach Signetti. Why would you build a program up just to go to another program and try to do it again? Well, you're going to be under completely different sets of expectations. There were no real expectations at Indiana to do what he did or to win it all. All he had to do was improve the program and he would have been okay. And now you're going to move on to somewhere where they expect you to do that. It don't usually work out like that. And I think Lane Kiffin is about to find that out himself again. He had already built the program at Ole Miss. Now you're going to go to Ole Miss's main rival and try to duplicate the same thing just because they had won championships before. Well, hell, Ole Miss had won a championship before. It might have been 60 years ago, but they credited it with some piece of the 1962 championship. It was too damn slow to keep up with the main team, but they did have a claim to it. So it's not like it couldn't have been done. I'm along the mindset, if you've done it before at a place, anybody's done it before at a place, you're going to win it again. So if your team hadn't won a championship in 40, 50 years, just hang in there. Eventually they're going to win again. Same thing with some of these high schools here. Yeah, things have changed, and people are recruiting and they're doing all these illegal stuff they're not supposed to do, but that doesn't mean that eventually the wheel is going to swing back around in your way and you're going to win again. So I believe if you wanted a place, no matter how long it's been, it's going to be your turn again to win a championship. So it just seems like some places are just destined, and the same teams that win always seem to continually win. So that's just my experience from watching sports all these years. So going back to the NFL, I told you that they had the media night last night. I don't think they had anything that come out of that too serious, but I know from years ago they used to get a bunch of reporters in there from all over the place, and they start asking a whole lot of dumb questions. And by the end of the day, these guys are completely worn out to the point where, why are you wasting my time with all these dumb questions? A lot of that got exposed when, if you go back to when the Cowboys were first came out and they played Buffalo, and everybody tried to make a big deal out of the media day. How would the young Cowboys handle the media day? And then when they go through the media day, they're looking right at each other. This is it? Like it's any kind of big deal? Well, it never really was. It's just that like a holiday for reporters. They get in there and they ask all kind of dumb questions. And sometimes players will say something that will backfire on them. And that's pretty much what the reporters are looking to get. But once the players figured out this is what's going on, then it's just something they have to go through. And they have shifted that from Tuesdays now to Monday night. So NFL, if you hadn't noticed, they're trying to shift everything to prime time. They're trying to control everything. They don't worry about Sunday and Monday anymore. They want to play on Thursdays. And if we can play on Wednesdays and Fridays too, and during the playoffs Saturday, oh hell, you pretty much playing every day of the week. So that's what the NFL is trying to do. But I don't know how you're going to do that in a sport where you have to have X amount of time to prepare for your next opponent. Baseball, basketball, sure. NFL can never do the schedule that they have, but it looks like to me they're trying. And then you still are talking about adding more games and all these international games. It's just a matter of time before they add that 18th game. And brings back to the point where the flag football comes into mind. You can play 18, 19, 20 flag football games because it has nowhere of the same physical standards as a regular football game. So when you look at it, everything is in place for the game to shift from tackle to flag. But my question to you is, would you still watch an NFL season if they were playing flag football? And I answer it for you. Hell no. I go find something else to watch. And if they go to 24 game playoffs in college, I'm not watching that no more either, because that basically renders the regular season useless. Everybody's going to make the playoffs anyway. I mean, what's the point of the regular season? There's no point at all. So I don't know. But anyway, the biggest talk that I'm hearing concerning NFL out of the media is Clint Kubiak. They seem to think that he's going to take the Raiders' job once this Super Bowl game is over with. And people want to know if he's focused enough that he's going to be able to handle the pressures of calling this game and still try to focus on possibly getting the Raiders' job. I think even though they got the tampering rules and you're not supposed to talk to other teams while you're still involved in the playoffs, but that's not the case. These guys are always negotiating. They got people talking for them, and he's probably already got a deal hatched out. And as soon as the game's over with, we're going to find out that Kubiak is going to be head coach of the Raiders. Kubiak's got a good lineage. He's a good coach, and his dad was a football player. He backed up Elway with the Broncos for all those years, and he got into coaching. So it's just natural that a guy that's been around the game all his life to get involved. So he's got the makings to be a good coach. But we heard the same thing about Josh McDaniels. He's not a head coach. He's a good coordinator. But when he get a head coaching job, he falls right on his face. Well, the same fate happen to Kubiak. That remains to be seen. But it's an open secret that he's being courted by the Raiders, and he's probably going to take that job once the Super Bowl is over. And people want to know, is he's distracted by the prospect of being the Raiders coach as opposed to this game? Well, if he's a true competitor, which I think he is, I don't think the Raiders have anything to do with what's going to take place this weekend. And Kubiak should be locked in. The question is, what will you do if the Patriots take away Smith and Jigbo? Nobody seemed to have been able to do that so far. And if they're able to do that, who's going to step up for Seattle? Well, the guy that ran that kickoff back against the 49ers, Shaheed, I think is his name. Nobody's expecting him to do much last week, and he caught that deep bomb. He's a wild card in the situation. If they can find a way to get Shaheed untracked, that would take a lot of pressure off in Jigbo. And then if you can hit Cooper Kupp, and then the tight end, what's his name, Bonner, they got a lot of weapons that they can use to take the pressure off in Jigbo, but they're going to have to step up. If they don't step up and it's all left in Jigbo, then the Patriots will have a chance to affect the Seahawks offense. Another thing is, on the flip side of that, can New England control the ball enough or score enough points to keep that Seattle offense off the field? And that's not easy said, easier done, because the Seahawks actually have a pretty good defense. So key really to this game is going to be, can New England score enough points to keep up? And that's going to come down to controlling in Jigbo when the Seahawks have the ball. And then Drake May is going to have to use his legs, and they're going to have to execute the running game to control the clock to keep Seattle on the sidelines. So it's going to be a chess match about how they figure out how they're going to do this. But the Seahawks receiver, Shaheed, he's going to be a key piece there. If he can get off, then that's going to make it more difficult for the Patriots. But if they can not give up the big plays to a guy like Shaheed and control in Jigbo, then it's going to be a pretty good, tight football game. But I don't think the Patriots going to be able to slow them down enough to stay with um, Seattle long enough for something to happen. But I will say this: as the game stays close, the closer as it starts getting toward the fourth quarter, and it's a close game, that favors New England. But like I said, if they can't control Njigbo, it's going to be a long night for New England. So what will Vrabel do to try to stop this particular receiver? All right. Selmo says Harbaugh wanted Monkey with him in Buffalo. Now all Baltimore coaches following Monkey. Oh, so that would that would make for an interesting situation there. If they'd rather go with Monkey than Harbaugh, that's basically saying that silently saying that maybe Harbaugh was the problem. I don't know about that. Like I said, if Monken is calling the plays on offense and their approach was so inconsistent, then I wouldn't be trying to follow a guy who's inconsistent like that. I mean, you had the pieces to come up with a game plan, but yet a lot of the key pieces went dead at key times. We saw that happen with Henry. We saw it happen with Flowers. And then with Flowers, pretty much he didn't get the ball to the second half most games this year. And the one guy that I think is most dangerous in Baltimore is Isaiah Likely. The end of the season, there, the last 3 or 4 games, they hardly used the man at all. So Monkey wouldn't be the guy I'd be trying to follow. I would go with Harbaugh. First of all, because Harbaugh is going to have a better team coming out of the gate. And he can go hire another offensive mind to have a completely different direction than what he took in Baltimore. So, but then again, I'm not privy to following any coach. I want to blaze my own path. So if Monken goes here and Harbaugh goes there, I'm trying to go somewhere else. So I know enough about them that I can come up with game plans to deal with both of them. So that would be my approach. But the fact that they follow Monken doesn't say a whole lot for Harbaugh. But at the same time, you might be following the wrong guy. And just like in the mafia or something, you follow the wrong guy, most of the time you get executed at some point. And might be execution taking place in Cleveland because I'm not so certain that Monk is going to be a great coach. Was it Selmo yesterday said that he might go after Carson Beck? Well, I don't know if Carson Beck is going to be a good pro quarterback. He's got a lot of question marks there. Could he grow to be a pro quarterback? He can process the game. I don't have any questions about that. But I wonder about his arm strength. He had that guy in the college championship game. I don't know if they were miscommunicating, but if he had thrown the ball more toward the pylon, then I don't think the safety could have got over there and made the play. At worst, he might have got a hit on him and made him drop the ball. I'm not saying that the guy would have caught the ball, but definitely it wouldn't have been no interception, like what happened down the middle. And you can't be late at all going across the middle in the NFL. And even along the sideline there, they'll jump those routes. And I'm not sure if Carson Beck is going to be able to make those throws. So is he good enough to get in there and compete? Yeah, he can do that, but I don't know. I just don't see it. So I think Kenny Walker, the third, will have a big game running on New England defense. Ooh, I don't know. New England's going to stop that run, man. The way Walker's running the ball against the Rams, and with what's his name is out. What's his back? Charbonnet got hurt, so I don't know who you're going to turn to if you stuff Walker. So they're going to have to come up with some kind of plan to. They've been throwing to Walker, but they need to come up with another back to possibly take the pressure off him. So again, Seattle, it's a chess match. They're going to have to find a way to get Njigbo off because they're going to be double teaming. They're going to be what they call that. Forget what they call it. They're going to be shadowing him, in other words, in a bracket. That's the word I'm looking for. They're going to bracket him, and if you can bracket him and then slow that run down with just a 4-man rush, now it comes down to can you get Walker out of the flats because he does a good job catching the ball too. I don't know if New England is going to be able to stop all of that, man. And I'm waiting to see how this is going to unfold. But Walker, he's a good player. He's going to have some good runs, but I just don't see him being that overwhelming force to just take over the game. But that remains to be seen. But anyway, I just want to come on and talk about the media day and the Pro Bowl game. I found that out it's going to be today, um, and that should be interesting. But it's going to be flagged, so I have no interest. Somebody tell me about it. And as far as Super Bowl Sunday, I don't have the plans down yet, but we talked about it yesterday. Selmo and JC, we're going to come on live sometime before the game, and we'll stay live as long as anybody want to call in and talk about football. Got some Super Bowl stories I can tell. Can't get into it now, but we'll get into it later. But in the meantime, I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. And one last check of the poll: is the media overblown? A lot of you are saying yes. I agree, and that's just the way it is. So in the meantime, you guys have a great day, and this has been Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I'm out.